Good afternoon. Time to unpack those markets, especially after that U.S. inflation figure came in yesterday, which resulted in Asian markets soaring to new highs after that inflation figure did come in better than expected. However, as it stands, Hang Seng Index up 2.5%. Mainland Chinese markets also closing up in positive territory. Japanese markets closed for holiday. Just to go back on that U.S. inflation figure, it came in at 8.5% in July versus the expectation of 8.7%, and that expectation was from economists who were polled by the Dow Jones. Even though that figure is 8.5%, the underlying inflation pressures do still remain elevated. Nonetheless, the rand rather featuring on the gainers list of emerging market currencies, and this is after that figure came in, rather reaching its strongest margin probably since mid-December of 2017. And then on Sens this morning, we did get trading updates from the likes of Advotech, Italtile, as well as Old Mutual. And then Africa's biggest, rather largest mobile operator, MTN, reporting their financial results, saying that the robust demand for their data and fintech services resulted in double digits when it comes to their core profit. That share price rising by 6.1% as a result. But to unpack the latest market dynamics, we are joined by Connette van Zyl, who is from Absa Asset Management. Connette, thank you so much for your time. Taking a look at the JSE right now, what's driving the performance that we're seeing?
Yeah, so the all share at the moment up about 1.1%, and it's quite broad-based. All of the sectors, resources, financials, industrials, all in the green. On the international front, I mean, last night after the US CPI number, which you've just flagged, we saw the S&P up strongly, more than 2%, the Nasdaq up nearly 3%, Asia is up strongly this morning and afternoon as well. European markets sort of flattish, and then as you mentioned, the rand strengthening, that's probably on a bit of dollar weakness because of the expectations of maybe that the Fed won't be rising rates as aggressively. We'll probably talk about that now. And then oil also up a bit again, above that $95. It's about $97.50 at the moment per barrel of Brent crude, and that's just probably generally, on inflation concerns easing and possibly just a little bit of a better outlook for global growth.
And then you have MTN, as I mentioned in my intro, releasing their financials, a share price up just over 6%. What stood out for you when you looked at their financials?
Yeah, so this was for the 6-month period ending in June 2022. It's a good set of results. I mean, some strong trends coming out there. Headline earnings up 46%, and that is at the top end of the guidance that they gave to analysts a couple of weeks ago. You have total subscriptions in the company up 1.6% to 281 million users globally, which is a good performance. Group revenues up 12%, and then they're expecting double-digit revenue growth to continue within the company into the medium term, and that's on top of maintaining a conservative balance sheet. So yes, the market liking those results. The stock, as you mentioned, up strongly, more than 6% at the moment.
So everyone has been talking about the so-called Fed pivot, which makes me wonder, is a Fed pivot necessary for the market rally that we're seeing to sustain itself?
Yeah, so I mean, a Fed pivot would obviously mean that they hike rates less than currently is being expected. And, a sort of softening inflation environment is probably one of the indicators that they can do that. But bear in mind, this is one data point, and the Fed has been quite clear that they will be looking for a trend. And secondly, we should also consider that inflation is still at 8.5%, which is multi-decade highs. The long-term inflation rate that they target is 2%. So we are a long way off from that. So those are some of the things that we have to keep in mind. And I mean, the US is a big economy. The Fed is important. All else being equal, if they continue to rise rates, you should probably expect market pressure. But that said, that's one factor. There are many other factors that obviously impact global markets. We have to consider global growth. We have to consider global inflation. And while the US is important, there's also Europe, China, and other major economies that we need to consider. China in particular is a bit of a wild card. As they ease their COVID regulations, their economy could possibly, grow stronger. There are also talks of Chinese stimulus, which could boost their markets. Those could be a bit of a counter argument or a positive for markets, although the Fed might be raising rates. Secondly, we should also consider, commodity prices, the impact of Russia invading Ukraine, how long commodity prices remain elevated. So the Fed pivot could be important, but I would just caution that it's one factor in many factors that obviously impact global markets.
Kone, it's always a pleasure talking to you, especially unpacking some of the market moves and also how you are seeing things and some of the analysis coming through in your responses. Thank you so much for making time to chat to us. That is Kone van Zyl, who is from Absa Asset Management. And over the next few days, as we did mention in yesterday's interview, we do have a whole host of JSE-listed companies that will be publishing their financials, the likes of Curro, Absa releasing their reports on Monday. However, we will have all of those interviews for you. That is it from me. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more news for you, so stay tuned.